Okay. Hey guys, my name is Loveless, and we are here with Seduce Me too. So let's go back to it. It's been like a month since a month and a day since I've actually last played this game. I guess maybe when it took me to upload, it took me like a day later. But yeah, it took like about a month. So let's get back to it. We're at the ending of this, I guess. I hope. I hope it's soon. Because, like, this story is a very long story at this point. Longer than the first one, I believe. I don't know. I'm going to need to check in on that to see if it was a little bit longer or it is. We'll see into the future, I guess. Alright, I needed to hold him and treat the night as if it was the last night of the world. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. I slowly glid my hand to cup his head, holding, uh, looking up at him, just staring deep into his eyes. I felt my hand glide across his waist, softly grasping his hips as he started to stare patiently at me. Okay. A rush of encouragement raced through my body, but I gently pulled. Oh my god, I can't read. Gently pulled forward and captured his lips with my own. My eyes fluttered closed as I took a deep breath, taking in his sense, his warmth, his love for me. I was blessed to have this man as my own and to see his call through destiny to remind me and be mine. As he slid his hand up my back and hugged me closer to him, I could tell he felt the same. He felt my head tilted back as James began to trail kisses down my chin and onto my neck, causing me to arch back a little bit to press my chest against his. As his teeth lightly grazed my skin, a wild shiver run up to my spine. His hands tightened around my waist and tugged me hard against his body as he ravished my neck and shoulders in kisses and licks. My own hands began to wander his hair, combing through his black locks. For one more night, I would forget about everything except the feeling of this man and making love. It wasn't long before James and I wound up in bed with him straddled over his lap with my back to his chest. Us in only our bare minimums. James marked every inch of my body with his lips and tongue, desperately to make me quake in his arms from the pleasure. I couldn't help but let myself grin over the hardening length in his balls to breathe. My own core lightened in desires for him and slight craving to ravish and ride. Oh my god. However, James's hand drifted along my body, making me submissive to his touch and guidance. I was left to moan and mew at his fingers, dragging themselves over me and eventually teasing me beneath my clothes. A wild moan that wanted to erupt from me at his strokes filled my head with a lustful haze as James began to enthrall me and kissed hard over my shoulders. I began to bite my lip, trying to control them.
Don't hold it in.
Oh my goodness. As if to emphasize his command, he began to remove our last articles of clothing, turning around into his arms, pinning me against the bedpost. I had to wrap my legs around him to keep myself up as he pressed my hips against the wood of the bed. There you go. I looked deep into James's eyes, becoming lost in them, and finally let go, feeling him take me at last and letting the pleasure ripple through my body in waves. My arms wrapped themselves around his neck as he pressed me against the wall and began to drive into me in love but hard fever. I think I said it wrong. English is hard. My energy was slowly draining, but I didn't care. My mind was becoming a mess, but I didn't care. All I gave a damn about is the point in time was James and I holding each other and riding through the immense pleasure between us. James knew everything about me. He knew how to make me melt. He knew how to make me king. He loved to use everything in his power to make me feel absolutely loved and amazing. Well, I did my best to make him feel the same. Um, Even as a end began to crash through us, our eyes spoke volumes of our deep passion and love for each other. My heart pounded wildly for James, and I dared to claim him as mine. He was completely, utterly mine, as I was completely and utterly his. Joyful tears dripped down my eyes from the feelings bursting in my heart, but I gripped James close, desperately not to let go. He did the same, pressing his lips against mine, capturing every loving sound I made for him. I was like, oops, almost lost one of the words. Yeah, I lost count of how many times we let ourselves go. I began absorbed in his kisses, his touch on my body, our love, that I was barely awake by the time it all ended with his arms around mine. Well, yeah, you better be practically going to sleep if he actually did it right. Okay. His breathing became my guide and his body my solace. My hands gripped to him as my body naturally cuddled close to him, taking in his warmth. A small chuckle echoed from the room as James patted my head.
I love you so much.
No. I love you too, James. I'll never let you go. We would survive. We'll be okay. I felt safe in James's arm. I'm sure that he felt safe in mine, and we'll return to the human world and be okay. Tomorrow will decide everything. Oh, shit. No! Suspense! No! Okay. The day of the siege had finally dawned. We had arrived at the Demon's Lord's castle, and we were ready as we could be. Many armies bearing different banners and colors watched over the ground before the castle, ready in Russian lay waste to the Demon Lord, and in remainder of his forces. All of us shared a common enemy, and upon his demise, we could all finally know some form of peace. And even during a roll cage of major generals, the air became full of determination and pride.
Mirth! Avarice! Nadia! Fiorna! Aradum!
Each name called became a mark of history. This is the war that will bring freedom or destruction to the demon world. If the rebels didn't win this fight, then this would be the war. This war would never end. If the rebellions won, then this world would become united in a hopeful, peaceful rule. The hour before the battle was to take place, my thoughts instantly ran back to our final meeting in Lilith Castle. Lilith is supposed to be the goddess, and Eve. I think. Whatever reason, like a couple days ago, Lilith came in my mind, and I was like, wait, I know where I've heard Lilith. I heard it somewhere. And so I was like, I did some research. I'm like, hey, heard it in two places. It was like a book, and then also here. And it just popped in my head. I don't know why. It just did. Diana had pulled the leaders and us together, instructing us on how exactly to proceed.
Zero, you will be joining Shadow and Sergeant in the front, taking care of the main army head-on. I expect that you will come out of it alive.
Yeah, she wouldn't expect anything else.
Yes, my lady.
Rabbit, Faye, you are in charge of range attacks and defense. We cannot allow any of those blasted imps getting to us from behind.
Yes, ma'am.
As Diana looked to me, I grew slightly fearful. I had to get into the Demon's Lord's castle, but how exactly did Diana plan on getting me there?
You and your fiancé will take the side route straight to the castle.
Wait, huh?
We've organized our army to have our strongest on the front lines and against the tree line, giving us a side route for you to make your way straight to the castle.
If anything trickles into the side route, you'll be able to handle it. However, there is something I must ask of you.
Okay. What is that?
If you are indeed attacked, you need to defend your fiancé the entire way there. Do not let him use his energy.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely not.
When you get to the castle, I will be fighting one-on-one with the Demon Lord. If something should happen to me, then I need you to take over. She is not ready to fight him, and you need to be at full strength to finish him off.
True.
She's been taught well. Let her prove herself when the time comes.
Yeah, Sarah was a good teacher. So was Diana. Diana taught too. Diana actually broke a sweat when training. Oh yeah, I stared, listening and reaffirming the order. I couldn't lie, I was nervous. However, I was determined enough to see this through. I'm looking forward to I looked over at my fiancé with a confident smile. I got this, don't worry. Despite the worry in his eyes, he nodded and held my hand, trusting me and my decision to agree with Diana's command. Diana rolled her shoulders and looked at the map over the war table between us all. Her gaze pierced into the parchment as the aura around her body pulsated in anger.
I will fly ahead and meet the Demon Lord head on. No matter what happens, I will not allow that monster to live.
That's why she got like a plan C. She probably got a plan C somewhere that she ain't telling nobody. The pure determination and anger in her voice practically sent a shiver down my spine. She was set on seeing this through, and in the end, I was sure that she would be willing to even die if it meant taking the Demon Lord down with her. Yup, that's exactly her. Oh yeah, it was the Demon Lord that actually killed all her parents, her whole family too, and a newborn child. So yeah. And also, Sarah already got the chance to actually know, like, hey, I love you, and she's like, oh, I love you too, and they already had that moment. So no regrets, I guess. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. If she did die, there'd be no regrets. Okay, so the so the remaining Incubus and wives were asked to stay behind the army and guard the main base where Rabbit and Faye were stationed. They need as many eyes as possible in the back of the battle. So the 4 couples were perfect to keep things in check. As they agreed, the meeting ended and the mental preparation had begun. The idea of upcoming battle scared me, sent waves of fear and worry up down my body in response to the thought.
Nervous?
Normal response. I would be lying if I said I wasn't. James smiled and held my hand tightly before bringing it up to kiss over it.
No matter what happens, we will end this, and you will see the human world again. You have my word.
No. Yeah, the only way to do that is if you do your job, and Diana does hers, and I do mine. I listened to him speak before nodding and taking in a deep breath. There is a whole lot of depending on each other's back in war. So much of that. Everything would be okay. We would be fine. I would believe in myself and get us through this castle when the time was right. Holy shit. The art in this thing is amazing. Look at all that fighting, all that chaos just to get to the castle. How you gonna, where's a route between that, huh? It's very beautiful. Okay, like a beacon, our forces became a banner of hope and strength for the rebellion. At the sight of Diana, many soldiers bowed or stared in awe and inspiration. Maybe it's because of her presence, or maybe it's because of what she stood for. But as Diana stood at the cliffside of the mountains, the air became full of energy and power. My fiancé, Rabbit, Faye, and I stood behind her as Diana stood on the ledge at the cliffside, addressing the rebellion for the final battle. Her voice echoed across the field, booming in reverberation throughout the air like thunder.
Milites! Et hoc liberati sturei tramcun tuis omnibus conversiris, sto vobiscum reducitic vos ad spem, nocte, lavabimur arcem, hostium sanguine.
Is that demon language or is that Italian? I can't tell. What is she saying? I don't know.
She said that she stands with them and will help them gain their freedom from their enemy. Tonight, the Demon Lord's castle will be bathed in blood.
That's true. There's someone's blood. Really?
I don't think she means it literally, but she's riling up the soldiers for war, as she should.
Uh-huh. I nodded and stared at back of Diana's head. A part of me felt a little intimidated and jealous of the power that she had. She really could make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. Hell yeah! At the same time, I knew that she was doing the right thing for this world. She is.
Dio dominati sunt nostri. Nos destruet, ium mitere, profundissimum, inferni detractos.
A pair of guards rushed forward, carrying their failing imp demon who was caught in chains. Oh! She's gonna do the ritual on him. Okay, forcefully slammed him down in front of Diana. She glared at him and gripped one of his horns and pulling to his knees.
You should be thankful we didn't throw you into a stew like we did your partner.
Ooh! Ugh. With a whisper, Diana dragged her nails across the imp's neck and sliced open 5 large gashes in his throat, making him gurgle and bubbly cry. There you go. Diana, however, kept hold of his head, forcing the blood to pour from him, guiding the energy and emanating from it towards the castle. With a flash of large purple, a red orb barrier that surrounded the castle shattered, fading into the air. The barrier that held the demon lord at bay was finally open, allowing us to charge in and end this once and for all. Diana summoned her saber, letting a brilliance of purple taint over her skin, beginning to twist and turn. Before my eyes, the taint on her back looked the shape lifting off Diana's skin and morphed into a demonic wings. I could only stare, jaw dropped, as Diana's body lifted off the ground and beginning to fly over the legions, slowly gliding towards the castle.
To war! To battle!
Yeah, Commander, yeah, you go first. Yeah. It's like, okay, we all go now. As her final command, Diana's wings pulsated in the air, flapping gracefully as she swooped down and forward. As she charged, flying at the castle's wall, saber bared and ready to spill blood. As the armies below began to bellow and march forward, Rabbit took a hold of my shoulder and turning me away from the castle to face her.
Come, we must hurry.
You gotta go to the sidelines. Understood. We must, understanding the need for urgency, I nodded and rushed forward to the rest of the incubus towards the slope down the mountainside.
Everything is in order. Sergeant Diana's guard are at the front lines, while Shadow is with his legion to the west.
Oh, wow.
What of our route?
We've done what we can to keep your way clear. We'll try to make sure the battle won't break through the path.
Oh, okay. I nodded, feeling the need to rush nip at my heels, pushing forward. My fiancé seemed to agree, gripping my hand and walking at a pace alongside me. However, as we finally arrived to the forest line, Faye and Rabbit stopped, looking back at us.
Straight through here. The sound of the war will always be on your right, so do not get lost.
Alright.
You'll be fine, though. Just follow the tree line.
In sync, my fiancé and I nodded in acknowledgement, before turning to see the other brothers and their wives. So this is it.
Princess, brother, we'll see you in the end.
We have faith in you. You'll make it there, and we'll return to the human world soon.
Kick his dead body a couple times for me, alright? Right in the head.
We'll be right here rooting for you and watching your back, okay?
We'll finish this and rush in as soon as we can, alright?
Yeah.
Make sure you kick some serious ass. Show that old goat what he gets for messing with you.
We'll win this. We know we can.
You can do this. We'll see you soon, okay?
Oh my goodness, she's adorable. Oh my goodness, I love their wives. They're so cute. Especially the last one. She's adorable. Okay, I smiled despite the nerves running through my body. I held onto my fiance's hand and given a hard squeeze before receiving one back in kind. We'll finish this and then we'll go home. The group nodded before I slowly turned and looked at the tree line, taking a deep breath and rushing forward. Matching my speed, my love followed, weaving through the trees beyond and not losing sight of me. Yeah, don't lose sight of him. You still have to, like, make sure he doesn't use any of his power. Okay, the journey was surprisingly fast. Going through the trees, the sound of war crashing beside us, outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears for a bit from the volume. But I shook my head and pressed forward, not wanting to become distracted. The goal was to get to the castle. I had to focus. Before I could, however, I skid to a stop. See, imp appeared from the distance, rushing forward to us. As my incubus came behind us and spotted the imp, he prepared himself to attack, but I placed my hand on his arm, stopping him. I got this. Please don't have any stupid, like, quick time events. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna just save just in case I fuck it up. I will fuck it up somehow. There you go. Go back. Oh yeah, did it. Okay, my spear gathered in the mass of my hand, forming from my energy within my hand and settling into my palm. I twirled it around myself, getting used to the balance and weight before holding it behind me, ready to charge forward. The imp, who was blind by the light for a moment, looked back at me and stared as they took note of the weapon that I possessed. With a battle cry, I rushed forwards and taking advantage of the blank state. Gah! Grah! Gah! I don't know what that is. Grah! Battle cries, they're not really words. They're just emotion. But it's nice to actually do that when you're fighting. So I lunged forward and ran my spear through one of the imps, effectively skewering him through the belly before ripping my spear out and slicing down the imp beside him, completely carving open his chest. Oh, that's the noise. That's how you say it, but more ah. The imp fell as the others became shocked at the sight. It must have been a big surprise for a human cutting down 2 of their numbers, but I wasn't in the mood to let them recover. My body quickly turned in front of another imp, and I swung my weapon once again, slicing open his throat. With a bubbling cry, he fell as well. I rushed forward again towards the castle, uncaring. The remaining imps began to quake and step back in fear, most likely never expecting to see a human decimate in their companions. I was not so friendly and merciful, especially in war. As I lunged forward again, screwing through another imp, hearing the steel of my weapon breaking through his body. My incubus, despite probably being surprised at my carnage, followed as I continued forward, fighting through every imp that I came in my way. I had lost count of how many crossed me, but I didn't care. All I cared was getting to the castle. Jesus. So many imps, okay. By the time that we reached the end of the forest, there were a slew of dead bodies behind me. I stood at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of adrenaline and lack of energy running through my veins. I panted for air, slowly focusing on calming down my energy, quickly depleting as from the adrenaline high. My weapon in my hands quickly vanished, so no longer being able to maintain the form without my energy. That was all I could do before my energy was expended and waves of exhaustion rolled through my body. I began to fall forward, exhausted. My fiancé, however, quickly rushed forward and caught me in his arms.
Whoa! Are you okay?
Yeah, it's called killing lots of imps. Uh-huh. I looked to see James staring down at me, deeply concerned. Yeah, only 7. This is the thing. It's like being able to fight is one thing, but having the like only 7 days of training, you won't actually get enough stamina to really go through a whole war without, exhaustion. We were safer for the moment, so I merely smiled and nodded at him. I'm fine. I promise to protect you, like you protected me. James let out a small laugh and kissed my forehead, hugging me.
That you did. I'm so proud to call you mine.
Yeah, killed lots of imps. I hugged him back, feeling relief as we finally arrived at the castle. We were about to rush inside. As we slowly pulled away, James lifted me and helped me onto my feet.
Will you be all right?
Yeah, just needed a minute. I nodded, shaked up exhaustion from my mind. I was ready to end this. I looked at the castle and gates, felt a rush of determination run through me. Let's go, finish this. This is that. With that, James and I rushed forward to the castle. The final battle began. Ow. The clashes of swords. James sprinted to the castle in the main hall. James handed hand in front of me as I spotted the battle raging to a foot at the throne's dais. Diana and the demon lord slamming their swords against each other over and over in violent repetition, with Diana level to her tailed opponent in a fight. Just from the force behind her swings, you could tell that you would think that her sword would break behind the bend. Oh, but she has the dual swords thing, so she has to actually do it right, or she could break her sword. Yeah, the sounds of their steel, however, could not cover the snarls erupting from each other as they pressed against the clash between them.
It's over, you brute bastard! We'll see about that!
Oh, really? Okay, with a heavy grunt, the demon lord pushed his sword forward to post red energy, causing Diana to fly back and slam into a pillar with a painful thud. Ah! Diana crumpled to the ground, her wings instinctively folding into her back from the impact. However, it took a second for her to recover and looked up in rejuvenated glare. Vaulting off the ground, Diana flew at the demon lord, once more slamming her sword against his. A large burst of purple flames erupted between their weapons.
I will send you to hell where you belong!
James and I watched in silence as Diana and the demon lord danced their deadly duel, not wanting to get in the way of either of their rage. Yeah, after all, James was merely a backup, and Diana seemed fine so far. So for some reason, however, I stared at Diana. Something about her hit looked almost effortless. Something was guiding her sword and landing each strike as if she was skilled so skilled in combat. After a flurry of deadlocks, Diana finally managed to swing her sword at an angle, slicing the demon lord hand, making him drop his weapon.
You!
The demon lord quickly stepped back and reached his other hand, forming a large red orb in his hand. However, as soon as he thrust it forward, it began to dissolve and dissipate in the air, vanishing completely before it reached Diana's body.
What?
Diana stared in shock at the occurrence, taking in that the attack did not hit her. But before she started to grow a smirk in her face and golden eyes over her blood-red irises.
Looks like you're all out of energy.
Oh, wow. With another angry growl, the demon lord repeated his actions only and stared released as it evaporated in the air. It was large enough with one hand, yet vanished all too quickly. Something was wrong. Diana didn't seem to care as she lifted her hand behind her, forming a large purple orb in palm before shooting it forward, the orb slamming into the demon lord's chest, pushing him back to the pillar, harshly forming a large crack into the stone at the impact.
It's over!
Okay, with her battle cry, Diana gripped onto her saber with both hands, flew forward, charging to skewer the demon through his chest as she began to fly forward. I gasped at the sight of Whitefoot. Damn it, angels! Angels were here. Wait! Anna wasn't listening. Her eyes were completely glossed over the gold at the center. Damn it! James and I couldn't do anything but stare at in shock at what Diana had done. What was happening to the incubus in question? Her body let off almost in a ethereal white glow as she snarled into the demon lord's face.
May Satan take you and tear you apart in the pits of hell.
Is she an angel? That's not possible. She's a demon. I'm confused. My body shuddered in fear at the sound of her voice. While she naturally had some sort of demonic resonance as she spoke, Something else laced into her voice almost gave me a celestial lift to the tongue. Angel! Angel! The demon lord eyes glazed over, almost lost at their light as he ever so slowly went limp over the blade menacing within him. Blood slowly dripping from his mouth and onto Diana's forearms. Diana, however, released the handle of the blade and glided back, shaking her arm to rid of the demon lord's blood. Despite that I normally expect from Diana, the succubus didn't care that her mortal enemy had fallen at last. She didn't even seem to care that her wings had become angelic and covered in beautiful white feathers. If it wasn't for her taint demon skin and horns, I would imagine that Diana, at that moment, confused as an angel I could imagine from this world. In this world? Whatever. The reality of the situation, however, were apparent. Something was wrong with Diana.
It is done. It is over.
So, what happened? I looked at James, seeing his caution but deadly glare burn itself into Diana's form as she looked at him and still glazed over with gold.
It isn't truly over, is it?
Diana stared at her lust for a moment before lowering herself onto her feet. Her feet onto the floor, letting out her new angelic wings fold against her back. Patiently, with almost sickening sweet smile, Diana left her hands toward James and beckoned him.
You are correct. You must take your throne.
Oh, God. My anger flared at the sound of his true name escaping her lips, but my soul began to quake in fear. Diana was being controlled by the angels, and now she seemed to be the instrument of James's destiny. James, however, remained at my side, glaring hard at Diana, still with a hand across my body in protection.
You do not have permission to use my name with such familiarity.
And why do you say that? I am the queen of the demon world now, and you are my betrothed.
Diana ran her hand through her hair over her horns, dragging them down her neck over each curve of her upper body seductively. This was definitely not Diana.
My mind, body, and soul are completely yours, as is the domination of this world. I share these pleasures and power with you, with the purest love from the bottom of my heart, as your true, universally intended bride.
James reached back to my hand and took my hand, knowing that her words were digging into my mind with edges of betrayal and annoyance. I knew James wouldn't accept her, but I also knew that was not Diana, so who knew that the angel was controlling her or what would do next? Diana tilted her head to the side, slowly lowering herself onto her knees, stretching her arms by the side, bearing herself to us.
Unless you desire me to be your slave, I will happily give you the throne and eternally serve you until the end of time.
Enough! Release her and reveal yourself, Seraph!
I gripped James's hand, staring wide-eyed at Diana as she simply chuckled and guided her hands together, pressing her palms against her breast, leaning back and stared at him in hard marble ceiling.
This child of Lilith is offering herself to you, demon. Yet you refuse to take it.
You know my answer.
It is a foolish answer. This demoness can become a vessel of power for you, the mother of your lineage. What more can you desire that the human can hope to provide?
Stop it! At that time, I had to interject. This was wrong and underhanded. Whatever spell Diana was under gripped her tightly enough to become sort of a twisted submissive to James, and no part of me accepted it. The angel was some sort of sick and twisted being that needed to be stopped somehow. James finally stepped forward to swarm hands, stared down at it in serious thought.
An angel like you can never understand the desires I hold.
That is because your desires are misplaced. You know deep in your heart that you desire to rule over this world. Your demonic blood craves the power.
I watched James gaze deep into the sheath of his battle, locking eyes with himself, still continuing to speak. He still continues.
It is true that some part of me wishes to rule this world. Some darker, unfeeling shadow of the past that was raised to live and become the ultimate lord of this plane.
As James gripped the handle of the sword tightly, he shifted his gaze to Diana's body.
My heart knows where it belongs. With the human who loves me as I love her!
My heart fluttered in my chest at James's words, feeling every ounce of passion and determination embedded with each word. Diana, however, let out a dark laugh.
Love. How fleeting. Your defiance comes from such a weak emotion.
As Diana finally straightened back up, I stepped back from the sight of her eyes. Instead of black pupils, her golden eyes were two dark crosses burning within her. Lost irises, a smirk on her face intensified, almost like a Cheshire cat's sickening grin.
Allow me to show you a power greater than love!
Okay, with a dark flap of her wings, Diana jetted forward, forming another saber in her hand, arching it across James. Her target countered in reply, clashing his sword in hers with a heavy clank. I instantly jumped back from the fight as Diana and James began to clash swords again and again. James's face showed pure concentration as Diana's clashed in both in sync, glee, and obsessed desire.
Fight however you like! You cannot escape your destiny!
I will, and you will not stop me!
The speed of their clashes increased. The rapid sound of steel beating steel clashes through the air like waves of violent drums. They were equally matched, and neither seemed to be giving in. How long would this fight go on for? I knew Diana was probably exhausted from the fights, but the angel was working through her, so had a chance if her exhaustion didn't matter. Then again, James did not lift a finger yet in the war, so he had energy to spare. The situation became full of concentration and concern as James and Diana continued to duel without hesitation or need for air. As James took heavy swings towards Diana, the succubus leaped back and sank gracefully onto her feet, using her wings to ease her descent and stance while she licked her lips.
Love is a fleeting game! Those who expect it to bring happiness will only experience sorrow in the end!
You're wrong. I tried this to the angel, angel trying to get in between us again, and enough was enough. I stepped forward desperately to find more energy within me to fight alongside James, but spoke out regardless. You don't know anything about love.
I know more than you ever will, human. I have lived for eons serving heaven, and have watched your kind rant and rave all about love and its existence.
Diana lifted her hand to her chest, grasping over it where her heart was, and almost laughed at my words.
You humans use love for the most meaningless of things. I love him, I love her, I love this, I love that. You claim love to be a powerful emotion, yet you can't even give it the power it supposedly deserves, as you use it for everything.
Not everyone uses like love for everything. Like Japanese men, I be hearing like they barely say I love you to their wives and shit. It's like, no, not every human.
I've watched that word fall on deaf ears. I've seen lives destroyed, despite love guiding them forward. The mere word has become a throwaway amalgam of letters, used to express minor joy for things that will decay and die in the end.
Love is stronger than you think. Ugh. It doesn't matter what you... No, love is stronger than you think. I would say this one. I knew deep down that the emotion of love was stronger than this angel could ever imagine. That wasn't something that's debated against when I had experience of it firsthand with the man that is trying... with the man it was trying to take away from. Okay. Diana laughed and shook her head. Gawking at my explanation... At my exclamation? What is this exclamation? I don't know this word. I think I'm saying it wrong. Before stretching her arms out to the side.
Love is weak! I have claimed the body of a succubus who is full of true love, and not even her love could stop me!
Oh, because he has true love for Sarah. I was hearing something. I stared wide-eyed at Diana. I knew that she truly loved Sarah, but the angel was able to take a hold of her somehow. Something was off. I'm hearing something. I don't know what I'm hearing. Okay, I took my hand and glared once more at Diana, burying my eyes into her as the angel was controlling her movements. Her controlling her was nothing to do with love. You're taking advantage of being weak in a fight with a demon lord. Finally, Diana's face melted at the glance as she had bared her teeth at me and growled.
You know nothing! Less than nothing! Filthy, unclean human! You open your mouth and spout nonsense and forget your place in the universe!
Diana's saber began to glow an unfriendly white color as Diana's hand began to quake holding it. As Diana fighting back, or was the anger shaking her limbs with rage? I wasn't able to tell.
I will erase you!
A hard flap of Diana's wings made Diana fly forward towards us, sword held high to rip me in two. However, her blade was met with James's as she rushed up and guarded me. James pressed back against Diana's saber, his body glowing a dark gold in color, responsive to her ever-glowing aura.
Your battle is with me, Angel. I will not let you touch her.
With a heavy snarl, Diana pressed herself against the deadlock, leaning towards James and practically frothing at the mouth. Okay.
I will make you yield!
Unaffected by her screams, James summoned a burst of yellow energy forward, knocking Diana back towards the throne, a dais. Diana flapped back and floating into the in the air gracefully, shaking her head before sneering at James. The demons sprang at each other once more, slamming their swords together in hopes that it would put the other one or strike the other, pointing it down. Purple and gold clashes through the room, the speed of their duel glowing exponentially with each hit and parry. However, watching Diana, however, I could tell that exhaustion was hitting her hard physically. Her hits became wild and thrown by adrenaline instead of with purpose and intent to kill. The angel wouldn't be able to hold on for long. James was putting a good fight despite this, easily blocking and dodging her attacks, with pummeling on the barrier of his own, lacing the gold energy with a burst between their swords on each hit. At once, an opening became available again. James gripped on Diana's wrist, twisting it back and making her release her saber with a painful scream, causing her to drop his own sword.
Enough of this!
With the momentum of his attack, James spun Diana around so her arms were almost dislocated beyond her back, slamming her to her feet and making back to her knees, causing her to buckle forward and land two painful thuds. James pushed Diana further down and slamming her body onto the ground, trapping her arms against her back and foot, gripping onto Diana's large wings with her hands. I gasped as he was about to rip them off of her, right? With concentration glare back Diana's head, his fist tightened around Diana's feathery wings, and suddenly a scent of gold flames through them. The fire stopped at Diana's back, only consuming the wings in gold and red. Ow, that was loud. Okay, Diana's scream and echo through the room, bouncing off the floors, walls, in a frenzy she can do to feel the flames engulfing her wings. The feathers implanted over began to burn and dissolve into ash, falling all around her. Soon enough, the pain became unbearable enough that it forced Diana to make her wings vanish back into her skin. There were two large burn marks inside themselves.
I'm sorry.
I hope that did not actually burn her real wings. I really hope. Okay, not giving Diana a single ounce of mercy, James dug his foot beneath her body and flipped her over, causing her to arch in pain from the impact of her body burning into the marble. Smoke snaked over her back and she gasped loudly. As Diana opened her mouth and let out a breath, James quickly grasped onto her neck, squeezing tightly, causing the succubus to beneath her to choke. James! Neither demon would hear me as Diana grabbed onto James's wrist and beginning to claw at him, desperately trying to make him let her go. Her eyes began to flicker from gold to original clear white and red colors as Diana did nothing to spasm from lack of air. Stop him? Like she's fighting back. You gotta kill her though. Don't do that. I think I might die though. And Diana might die. Well, if I fuck up, then I'll just go like super speed through this back and then do this thing again, I guess, if I mess it up. Stop him? I need to stop him before he kills her. The angel's not worth her death. I rushed forward to grab his arms, making him look up at me as he kneeled beside her. James, stop it. You'll kill Diana. Yeah, like the angel is inside her. You don't gotta kill Diana. James stared at me, taking in what I said. In surprise, same surprise look before looking down at the succubus beneath her, glaring hard. Was he going to kill her anyway?
Come out and fight me.
Yeah, do that. Don't kill Diana. With a burst of energy surging through James's hand, Diana arched her back. A spray of frothy saliva and blood erupted from her mouth. Towards the far wall, James gripped and loosened her around her neck. Diana's body continued to spasm for James's attack. Diana's eyes rolled back into the back of her head, finally fading into the from gold to white as she gasped for air from her body, relaxing at last. As Diana's body finally went limp and settled into the marble, a large white arrow of smoke wisped out of her body and shot itself onto the throne dais, settling onto the steps and slowly growing taller in its place. I've had enough. I'm about to I'm like running out of talking. I'm running out. Okay, I'm done. This fight is going on so long. I thought it would be like to the end of this. No. I'm gonna save this here. This fight just going on so long. I can only do this for so long. So yeah, I'm doing enough for here. I'll continue more at a later time. Alright, bye bye.